In the 1950s and 1960s, our grandma knew brilliant storage tricks. Even though she didn't have storeroom, somehow she stored everything perfectly. Then we forgot. We forgot the tricks and hacks our grandma used to store. So let's discover what our grandma used to store everything. Walk into any 1950s workshop or pantry and look up. You'd see dozens of mason jars hanging from the ceiling, suspended by their lids, screwed into the underside of shelves. This wasn't decoration. This was genius storage engineering. The trick was simple. Separate the metal lid from the jar, screw the lid into the wooden shelf above, then twist the glass jar into the threaded lid from below. Instantly, you'd created storage that used zero floor space, zero shelf space, and then kept small items visible and organized. Grandpa stored nails, screws, washers, and bolts in his garage jars. Grandma stored buttons, safety pins, rubber bands, and spices in her kitchen jars. The jars hung at eye level, contents clearly visible through glass, easily unscrewed with one hand when you needed something. Hardware stores sold the lids separately for this exact purpose. A dozen suspended jars could hold what would normally require an entire drawer. The system was brilliant because it utilized dead space, that useless gap between shelf and ceiling that normally went completely empty. You could pack 50 jars under one shelf and still have the shelf surface completely clear for other storage. This trick disappeared when pegboard walls became popular in the 1960s, and completely vanished when plastic storage bins took over in the 1980s. Modern workshops use tool chests and plastic organizers. The art of suspended jar storage, using gravity, threading, and overhead space to triple your storage capacity, died with the generation that invented it. Nobody screws jar lids to shelves anymore. In the 1950s, studio apartments and small homes had a secret weapon, the Murphy bed. This wasn't furniture, this was engineering. A full-size bed with a real mattress mounted on a pivot mechanism inside a wall cabinet that folded completely vertical when not in use. Close the bed in the morning, and your bedroom became a living room. The entire floor space, normally consumed by a bed, was suddenly available for living. The Murphy bed was invented in 1900 by William Lawrence Murphy in San Francisco, but it reached peak popularity in the cramped post-war housing of the 1940s and 50s. Tiny apartments, returning veterans, and urban density made Murphy beds essential. The mechanisms were spring-loaded and counterbalanced, so even a child could lift the bed. You'd pull it down at night, sleep comfortably on a real mattress with real bedding, then push it back up in the morning. The cabinet door would close, and the bed disappeared completely, hidden behind what looked like a normal closet or cabinet. Some Murphy beds were disguised as bookshelves. Others looked like wardrobes. The best ones were built into the wall during construction, completely invisible when closed. Murphy beds disappeared in the 1960s when homes got bigger. Suburbs spread. Families moved to houses with multiple bedrooms. The need for space-saving furniture vanished. By the 1970s, Murphy beds became punchlines in old movies, comedy props that would slam shut and trap people inside. The beautiful engineering that let families live comfortably in 400 square feet, forgotten completely. Every 1950s living room had a trunk serving as a coffee table, not a decorative trunk. A functional steamer trunk, the kind that once crossed the Atlantic on ships, that held an entire family's belongings during moves, now sitting in the middle of the living room holding blankets, pillows, photo albums, and seasonal decorations. This was dual-purpose furniture before IKEA existed. The trunk was solid wood, reinforced with metal corners, built to last generations. Or you'd drape a tablecloth over it, set your coffee cup on top, and use it exactly like a regular coffee table. But lift the lid, and you'd find feet of deep storage inside. Winter blankets in summer, Christmas decorations in January, extra pillows for guests, board games, photo albums too precious to store in the attic. The trunk kept everything dry, organized, and accessible while also serving as furniture. Some families used matching trunks as end tables on either side of the couch. The trunks were bought at Army surplus stores after World War II, genuine military footlockers, and steamer trunks sold cheap when soldiers returned home. By the 1960s, purpose-built coffee tables replaced trunks. Furniture manufacturers started making tables with built-in magazine racks and lower shelves. Trunks moved to attics and basements. By the 1980s, they became antiques sold in vintage shops. Modern coffee tables are flat surfaces with maybe one small drawer. They don't store anything meaningful. The trunk coffee table, providing both surface space and cubic feet of hidden storage, disappeared from American living rooms. We traded storage capacity for matching furniture sets. In the 1950s, empty suitcases didn't go in closets. They became furniture. Grandma would stack 2 or 3 vintage suitcases next to the bed, creating an instant side table with built-in storage. The suitcases were hard-shell leather or canvas, sturdy enough to support a lamp and alarm clock on top. Inside, she'd store off-season clothes, winter sweaters in summer, summer dresses in winter, or extra linens, or children's outgrown clothes waiting to be handed down. The suitcases were always packed full, always serving double duty as both storage and furniture. The beauty of this system was its flexibility. Need more storage? Add another suitcase to the stack? Moving to a new house? The furniture packs itself. Redecorating? Rearrange the suitcases. The stacked suitcases created visual interest too. Different colors, different sizes, vintage travel stickers from honeymoons and family trips. Each suitcase told a story while storing clothes. This wasn't poverty. This was practical design. Families in the 1950s owned fewer things and lived in smaller spaces. Every piece of furniture had to earn its place by serving multiple functions. A suitcase that sat empty in a closet 11 months a year was wasted space. But a suitcase stacked as a bedside table, filled with seasonal storage, serving as a conversation piece, that was smart living. Suitcase storage disappeared when built-in closets got bigger, and matching bedroom furniture sets became standard. By the 1970s, suitcases went back into closets. The art of vertical suitcase stacking, creating furniture from luggage, vanished completely. Modern people think stacked vintage suitcases a new design. It's not. Walk into any 1950s garage or kitchen, and one entire wall would be covered in pegboard, perforated hardboard with evenly spaced holes, painted white or left natural, with metal hooks inserted everywhere. This was vertical storage perfection. Every tool, every utensil, every frequently used item hung at eye level, visible and accessible. Nothing buried in drawers, nothing stacked in cabinets, everything displayed on the wall like a hardware store. The pegboard system was revolutionary because it was completely customizable. Need to hang a hammer? Insert a hook. Need to hang a spatula? Insert a different hook. Rearrange your tools? Just move the hooks. The pegboard could hold hundreds of pounds when properly mounted. Garages had wrenches, screwdrivers, pliers, saws, levels, entire tool collections organized by size and type. Kitchens had pots, pans, utensils, measuring cups, whisks, everything within arm's reach of the stove. Julia Child made pegboard kitchens famous in the 1960s with her TV show. Her kitchen wall was entirely pegboard, every pot and pan outlined in marker so she knew exactly where each item belonged. The system worked because it eliminated the need for drawers and cabinets. Walls became storage. Dead vertical space became functional. A single 8-foot pegboard wall could hold what would normally require 3 cabinets. Pegboard disappeared in the 1980s when closed storage became fashionable. People wanted kitchens with hidden appliances, garages got tool chests and cabinets. The pegboard wall, the most efficient vertical storage system ever created, went out of style. Modern organizers are rediscovering pegboard, but they'll never match the floor-to-ceiling walls, 5 storage hacks down, mason jars suspended from ceilings, Murphy beds that folded entire rooms away, trunks that were coffee tables and storage, suitcases stacked as nightstands, pegboard walls turning every surface into organized tool displays. These weren't trends. These were survival tactics for small spaces. Beds in the 1950s didn't sit directly on floors. They sat on metal frames with 6 to 8 inches of clearance underneath, clearance that was never wasted. Under every bed were rolling drawers, built from wood, fitted with caster wheels, designed to slide in and out smoothly on hardwood or linoleum floors. These weren't flimsy plastic bins. These were real dresser drawers, removed from old furniture and repurposed, or built specifically for underbed storage. Each drawer was 3 feet wide, 2 feet deep, and 6 inches tall, shallow enough to fit under the bed frame but large enough to hold an entire season's worth of clothes. Winter clothes in summer, summer clothes in winter, extra blankets, holiday decorations, shoes organized in rows. The drawers rolled out completely, giving full access to contents, then rolled back out of sight. The system worked because 1950s bedrooms were small. Dressers took up valuable floor space, but the space under the bed was dead air, unusable for anything except dust collection. Rolling drawers turned that wasted space into functional storage without sacrificing any floor area. You could fit 4 rolling drawers under one full-size bed, the equivalent of an entire dresser's worth of storage, completely hidden. The drawers were accessible too. Pull one out, grab what you need, push it back in 30 seconds. No climbing, no lifting the mattress, no unstacking boxes. Underbed rolling drawers disappeared when platform beds became popular in the 1970s. Platform beds sit directly on the floor with 0 clearance underneath. The storage space vanished. Modern underbed storage uses vacuum bags or flimsy plastic bins. Built into the walls of 1950s homes was a cabinet you'd never notice until you opened it. Swing open the door, and an ironing board would fold down, fully extended, ready to use. Close the door when finished, and the ironing board disappeared completely back into the wall. This wasn't luxury. This was standard construction in small homes where every square foot mattered. The recessed ironing board cabinet was typically installed in the kitchen, laundry room, or hallway, anywhere near an electrical outlet. The cabinet was built directly into the wall during construction, between studs, all creating a narrow vertical space 6 inches deep. The ironing board was mounted on a hinge at the bottom of the cabinet. Pull it out, and it would swing down to horizontal position, locked in place by a metal support arm. The board was full-size, padded, and covered in heat-resistant fabric. You'd iron an entire load of laundry, then fold the board back up into the wall, and it vanished. No storage space consumed. No ironing board leaning in a closet corner. No tripping over a board left standing in the laundry room. The cabinet door closed flush with the wall. People visiting your home wouldn't even know the ironing board existed. Some cabinets included a built-in electrical outlet inside, so the iron could be stored plugged in, ready to use. But the recessed ironing board disappeared in the 1970s when permanent press fabrics reduced the need for ironing and when home construction shifted away from built-in features. Modern homes don't include wall-mounted ironing boards. The built-in ironing board, saving floor space and closet space, vanished completely. Corner kitchen cabinets in the 1950s had a secret weapon, the Lazy Susan. This was a rotating circular shelf system installed inside deep corner cabinets, the cabinets where items normally got shoved to the back and forgotten forever. The Lazy Susan solved the corner cabinet problem with simple physics: rotation. Instead of reaching into a dark corner trying to grab something 3 feet back, you'd simply spin the shelves. Everything stored in the corner became instantly accessible. The mechanism was simple: 2 or 3 circular shelves mounted on a central pole with ball bearings, allowing smooth 360-degree rotation. You'd open the cabinet door, give the shelf a spin, and watch as items that were facing the back wall rotated to the front. Canned goods, mixing bowls, small appliances, baking supplies, everything organized on the rotating shelves, nothing lost in corners. The Lazy Susan maximized storage capacity because it made every inch of the corner usable. Normal shelves wasted the back corners because you physically couldn't reach items stored there without emptying the entire cabinet. Lazy Susan shelves made the full depth of the cabinet accessible. A corner cabinet with a Lazy Susan could hold 3 times more usable storage than the same cabinet with fixed shelves. These weren't optional upgrades. These were standard features in middle-class 1950s kitchens. The Lazy Susan disappeared when kitchen design shifted to drawer-based storage and pull-out shelving systems in the 1980s. Modern corner cabinets often go unused or get fitted with expensive pull-out mechanisms. The simple, inexpensive, elegant Lazy Susan, turning dead corner space into prime storage, became old-fashioned. The rotating genius that made every corner accessible vanished from American kitchens. Look up in a 1950s kitchen and you'd see 3-tiered wire baskets hanging from the ceiling on chains, swaying slightly whenever someone walked past. These weren't decorative. These were functional storage that freed up precious counter space. The hanging basket system was simple: 3 round wire baskets, each about 12 inches in diameter, connected vertically by chains suspended from a ceiling hook. The bottom basket held onions and potatoes. The middle basket held apples and oranges. The top basket held bananas and tomatoes, everything stored at eye level or above, visible and accessible, taking up 0 counter space. The hanging baskets worked because 1950s kitchens were tiny, often 8 by 10 feet total. Counter space was measured in inches, not feet. Every appliance on the counter meant less room for food prep. But ceiling space? Completely unused. Hanging the fruit baskets freed up counter space while keeping produce accessible. You'd reach up, grab an apple, and the baskets would swing gently back into place. The wire construction allowed air circulation, keeping fruit fresh longer than it would in a bowl. The baskets were usually chrome or painted metal, matching the kitchen's color scheme: turquoise, yellow, or red. Some versions included a bottom catch tray for any fruit that over-ripened and dripped. Hanging fruit baskets disappeared in the 1970s when kitchens got bigger and granite countertops became standard. Counter space expanded. Ceiling-mounted storage seemed unnecessary and old-fashioned. Modern kitchens have fruit in bowls on vast counter expanses. The hanging basket system, multiplying storage by using vertical space, vanished completely. Nobody hangs fruit from kitchen ceilings anymore. Every door in a 1950s home had something hanging on the back: canvas organizers with multiple pockets, holding shoes, cleaning supplies, or pantry items. These weren't modern plastic over-the-door racks. These were heavy-duty canvas bags, hand-sewn or store-bought, with 8 to 12 deep pockets arranged in rows, hung on the door with metal hooks. The bedroom door got the shoe organizer, a canvas bag with pockets sized perfectly for one shoe each, holding 12 to 16 pairs vertically. The pantry door got the food organizer, deeper pockets holding onions, potatoes, packets of gravy mix, and small canned goods. The bathroom door got the cleaning supply organizer, pockets holding sponges, brushes, soap, and rags. The system worked because doors were unused vertical space. Every door in the house swung open and closed daily, using zero floor space, but the back of the door was blank wall. Hanging organizers turned that blank space into storage. The canvas pockets were deep enough to hold items securely, but accessible enough to grab what you needed quickly. The over-the-door organizer saved closet space, cabinet space, and floor space simultaneously. You could store 50 items that would normally require a shelf or drawer, all hanging on a door. The organizers were washable, repairable, and lasted decades. Over-the-door organizers disappeared when closets got bigger in the 1970s and plastic storage solutions flooded the market in the 1980s. Modern over-the-door racks are thin plastic or metal, holding fewer items less securely. When the heavy canvas multi-pocket organizers that could hold an entire shoe collection on one door, gone completely. 10 hacks complete. Rolling drawers under every bed, ironing boards hidden in walls, corner carousels making deep cabinets accessible, fruit baskets hanging from ceilings, canvas organizers turning doors into storage walls. Every surface had a purpose. Every inch was used. Nothing wasted. Open any 1950s kitchen cabinet, and you'd find a narrow wooden rack screwed to the inside of the door, holding dozens of spice jars in tiered rows. This wasn't an add-on accessory. This was built-in storage that came standard with quality cabinets. The spice rack was simple, 3 or 4 horizontal wooden rails, each with a small lip to prevent jars from sliding off. They mounted vertically on the inside of the cabinet door. Each rail held 4 to 6 spice jars, all visible at a glance when you opened the door. The jars were uniform size, often matching sets that came with the house or were purchased specifically to fit the rack. Cinnamon, pepper, oregano, basil, paprika, nutmeg, cloves, every spice organized alphabetically or by frequency of use. The system worked brilliantly because it utilized completely wasted space. The inside of a cabinet door is dead air. It serves no purpose except to close the cabinet. But screw a spice rack to that door and suddenly you've created storage for 30 spices without using any shelf space inside the cabinet. The cabinet shelves remained free for dishes, glasses, or food. The spices hung vertically, taking up 6 inches of depth but providing organized, visible, accessible storage. You'd open the cabinet, scan the spice rack, grab what you needed, and close the door. No digging through drawers, no searching behind other bottles. Everything visible, everything labeled, everything within reach. The door-mounted spice rack was so practical that many homeowners installed them on multiple cabinet doors, one for spices, one for cooking oils and extracts, one for vitamins and medications. The inside of every cabinet door became potential storage. Cabinet door spice racks started disappearing in the 1970s when cabinet manufacturers shifted to cheaper construction methods. Pre-made cabinets came without built-in door racks. The racks became aftermarket accessories you had to buy and install yourself. By the 1980s, pull-out spice drawer inserts became popular, replacing door-mounted racks. Modern kitchens store spices in drawers or on countertop carousels. Inside 1950s kitchen cabinets, Grandma had a secret weapon for organizing flat items, tension rods installed vertically. Not horizontally like shower curtain rods, vertically, creating dividers that turned one wide cabinet shelf into multiple narrow slots. Each slot held baking sheets, cutting boards, serving trays, or pot lids standing upright on their edges instead of stacked flat. This simple trick multiplied storage capacity and made everything accessible. The tension rods were spring-loaded metal poles, the same kind used for shower curtains, but installed floor-to-ceiling inside cabinets instead of wall-to-wall. You'd measure the interior height of the cabinet, adjust the tension rod to that length, and wedge it into place between the cabinet floor and ceiling. The rod would hold firm through spring tension alone, no screws, no drilling, completely removable if needed. Install 3 or 4 tension rods in one cabinet, spacing them 4 inches apart, and you'd created vertical dividers. Slide your baking sheets into the slots edge first, standing upright like books on a shelf. Each sheet had its own slot. No more digging through a stack of 6 sheets to reach the one on the bottom. No more avalanches of metal when you pulled one out. Everything stood organized, separated, and instantly accessible. The same system worked for pot lids. Instead of stacking lids inside pots or piling them in drawers, you'd stand them upright in tension rod dividers. Glass lids, metal lids, different sizes, all organized by diameter, all visible at a glance. Cutting boards stood upright the same way. So did serving platters, pizza pans, and cooling racks. Anything flat that normally stacked inefficiently could be stored vertically in tension rod dividers. The beauty of this system was its flexibility. Need wider slots? Move the rods, different items to store? Rearrange everything. Moving to a new house? Pull out the rods and take them with you. The tension rod system required 0 permanent installation and cost almost nothing. Tension rod dividers disappeared when pull-out drawer organizers became popular in the 1980s. Kitchen stores started selling expensive custom drawer inserts designed specifically for baking sheets and lids. Look up in a 1950s kitchen or laundry room, and you'd see a wooden rack suspended from the ceiling on ropes and pulleys, a drying rack that could be raised and lowered like a drawbridge. This wasn't decorative. This was essential laundry equipment that used vertical space and heat rising to the ceiling to dry clothes faster than any outdoor clothesline. The pulley drying rack was brilliant engineering. 4 wooden slats, each about 6 feet long, connected by cross pieces to form a rectangular frame. The frame was suspended from the ceiling by ropes running through pulleys mounted on ceiling hooks. Pull one rope, and the entire rack would lower from ceiling height down to waist level. Load it with wet laundry, shirts, pants, towels, delicates that couldn't go outside, then pull the other rope to hoist the rack back up to the ceiling where it would hang until everything dried. The system worked perfectly because heat rises. In winter, when the kitchen stove or furnace was running, the ceiling was the warmest spot in the house. Wet clothes hung near the ceiling would dry in hours instead of days. The rack also freed up floor space. When raised, it was completely out of the way, not blocking traffic or taking up room. When lowered for loading, you could reach every item easily. The wooden slats were spaced to allow air circulation. Some racks were simple frames, others had multiple levels, 2 or 3 racks on the same pulley system, allowing you to dry an entire week's worth of laundry at once. The ropes were durable cotton or hemp, threaded through metal pulleys that were anchored directly into ceiling joists. You could hang 50 pounds of wet laundry without any risk of the system failing. Ceiling pulley racks were standard equipment in homes without electric dryers. They were especially common in apartments and row houses where outdoor clotheslines weren't available. The racks also doubled for drying herbs, bundles of lavender, rosemary, or thyme hung to dry in the warm ceiling air. Pulley drying racks disappeared when electric clothes dryers became affordable in the 1960s. Every shelf in a 1950s pantry, closet, or cabinet had one thing in common: wasted space underneath. There'd be 6 inches of empty air between the bottom of one shelf and the items stored on the shelf below. That dead air served no purpose until Grandma clipped wire baskets underneath the shelves. These weren't modern closet organizers. These were heavy-duty wire baskets shaped like shallow boxes with open tops, equipped with clips that hooked over the front edge of shelves and hung suspended beneath. Each basket was about 12 inches wide, 8 inches deep, and 4 inches tall, perfectly sized to utilize the dead air without interfering with the shelf below. The baskets held lightweight items: packages of pasta, bags of beans, boxes of tea, rolls of plastic wrap, kitchen towels, cleaning cloths. Anything that would normally sit on the shelf taking up valuable surface space could be stored underneath in the hanging basket instead. The system doubled storage capacity without adding a single new shelf. One regular shelf became 2 storage levels: items on top of the shelf, items hanging beneath it. The wire construction kept contents visible. You'd open the pantry door and see exactly what was in each basket without having to pull them out. The baskets were also accessible. Just reach under the shelf and grab what you needed. Installing the baskets required no tools, no screws, no permanent modifications. The clips simply hooked over the front edge of existing shelves. You could move baskets between shelves, add more baskets, or remove them entirely without leaving any marks. Some families had undershelf baskets in every closet. Bathroom shelves had baskets holding washcloths and soap. Linen closets had baskets holding pillowcases. Kitchen pantries had baskets holding snacks and spices. Bedroom closet shelves had baskets holding socks and accessories. The system turned every shelf into double-decker storage. Undershelf wire baskets started disappearing in the 1970s when shelving units came with fixed spacing designed to maximize vertical storage. Adjustable shelving became popular, allowing people to move shelves closer together instead of using undershelf baskets. By the 1980s, closet organization systems included built-in baskets and drawers. In 1950s, kitchens, knives never went in drawers. They lived on magnetic strips mounted on the wall, long metal bars with powerful magnets that held knife blades suspended vertically, handles down, always within reach. This wasn't just convenient. This was the safest, most space-efficient knife storage ever invented. The magnetic knife strip was a revelation when it became popular in the late 1940s and early 50s. Before magnetic strips, knives were stored in drawers where they'd rattle around, dull against other utensils, and pose danger when you reached in blindly. Or they'd be stored in wooden knife blocks that took up precious counter space and only held 5 or 6 knives. The magnetic strip solved both problems. Mount an 18-inch metal strip on the wall near your cutting board, and suddenly you could store a dozen knives. Chef's knives, paring knives, bread knives, carving knives, steak knives, all hanging in plain sight, blades exposed, handles accessible. The magnets were strong enough to hold heavy knives securely, but easy enough to remove with one hand. You'd grab the handle, pull straight out, and the knife would release from the magnetic hold. When finished, you'd clean the knife, wipe it dry, and place it back on the strip where the magnet would grab and hold it instantly. The system kept knives organized, visible, and sharp. Hanging knives didn't bang against each other like they did in drawers. The exposed blades stayed sharp longer, and you could see every knife you owned at a glance, no digging through cluttered drawers trying to find the right tool. Magnetic strips were usually installed on the wall above the counter, slightly below eye level, positioned between the stove and cutting board for maximum efficiency during cooking. Some kitchens had multiple strips, one for knives, one for metal utensils like spatulas and whisks, one for scissors and other metal tools. The magnetic strip turned wall space into tool storage, freeing up drawer space for other items. Magnetic knife strips started disappearing in the 1970s when butcher block knife storage became fashionable. Countertop knife blocks fit the aesthetic of wood-grain kitchens better than metal wall strips. Re-hook 15 hacks down, spice racks inside cabinet doors, tension rods dividing cabinets into vertical slots, ceiling pulleys hoisting laundry racks, wire baskets clipped under every shelf, magnetic strips clearing knife drawers. The 1950s didn't waste a single inch. Every surface multiplied, every gap filled. Steam radiators in 1950s, homes weren't just heating units, they were furniture. Grandma would build or buy decorative wooden covers that fit over ugly cast-iron radiators and transforming them into functional bookshelves or display surfaces. The radiator became dual-purpose, heating the room while also providing storage and display space. This wasn't hiding the radiator, this was maximizing its usefulness. The radiator covers were custom-built to fit the dimensions of each radiator, usually constructed from wood slats or lattice that allowed heat to rise through while creating a flat surface on top. The simplest covers were plain wooden boxes with ventilation holes. The fanciest were elaborate furniture pieces with decorative trim matching the room's woodwork. But all radiator covers shared one purpose: turning wasted space into usable storage. A radiator typically sat under a window, jutting out from the wall about 12 inches. That 12-inch depth was perfect for shelving. I built a cover over the radiator, and the top surface became a shelf for books, plants, picture frames, or decorative objects. Some covers included built-in shelving inside the cabinet portion, small shelves behind cabinet doors where you could store shoes, board games, or magazines. The radiator continued heating the room through the ventilated cover, but now it also served as a bookcase or display unit. The system worked particularly well in small apartments where every piece of furniture had to justify its footprint. A radiator took up floor space whether you liked it or not. It was plumbed into the building's heating system and couldn't be moved. So instead of treating it as an eyesore to hide, 1950s homeowners turned it into functional furniture. Bedroom radiators got covers that served as nightstands, and living room radiators got covers that displayed books and plants. Children's room radiators got covers with toy storage inside. Some radiator covers included padded cushions on top, creating window seats with built-in storage underneath. You'd sit on the radiator cover to look out the window, enjoying the heat in winter, with books or blankets stored in the cabinet below. Radiator covers disappeared when central heating systems replaced steam radiators in the 1970s. Modern forced air heating uses vents instead of radiators. The radiators were torn out during renovations, and with them went the custom covers. Nesting tables. Small tables that stack under each other. Every 1950s living room had a set of nesting tables. Every 1950s living room had a set of nesting tables, 3 or 4 small tables in graduated sizes that stacked underneath each other like Russian dolls. When you needed extra surface space for guests, you'd pull out the tables. When you didn't, they'd nest back together into a footprint smaller than one regular side table. This was space-saving furniture at its finest. The nesting table set typically included 3 tables, a large one, about 20 by 16 inches, a medium one, 18 by 14 inches, and a small one, 16 by 12 inches. Each table had the same height but progressively smaller surface areas, designed so the smaller tables could slide completely under the larger ones. The legs were angled inward, creating the clearance needed for nesting. When fully nested, the 3 tables looked like one table. But pull them out, and you'd have 3 separate surfaces for drinks, snacks, books, or decorative items. The tables were lightweight, usually made from wood with thin legs, so they were easy to move. And one person could carry all 3 tables at once. During parties, you'd pull out the nesting tables and scatter them around the living room. Each guest would have a surface for their drink and plate. After the party, you'd collect the tables and nest them back together in the corner. The space they occupied when nested was minimal, about 2 square feet of floor space total. Nesting tables were perfect for small apartments where permanent side tables would crowd the room. They provided surface space on demand without permanently sacrificing floor space. Some families kept the tables nested all the time, using only the top table and pulling out the others when needed. Others spread the tables around the room permanently, using them as individual side tables. The flexibility was the point. Furniture that adapted to your needs instead of dictating room layout. Nesting tables disappeared in the 1970s when furniture styles shifted toward larger, more substantial pieces. Oversized sofas required oversized coffee tables. The delicate nesting table sets seemed old-fashioned and flimsy. By the 1980s, entertainment centers and media storage dominated living rooms. Space for small decorative tables disappeared. Modern living rooms have permanent side tables or none at all. The nesting table set, providing flexible surface space without consuming floor area, vanished from American homes. We traded adaptable furniture for fixed layouts, and we lost the ability to multiply surface space in seconds whenever needed. The most ingenious storage hack in 1950s, small homes was hidden in plain sight, drawers built into the vertical face of each stair step. These weren't visible unless you knew to look. The front of each stair riser, the vertical board between steps, would have a small brass handle. Pull the handle, and a shallow drawer would slide out, revealing storage space that nobody knew existed. This was architectural genius. The staircase riser drawer system required planning during home construction. As stairs were being built, carpenters would create hollow spaces inside each riser, then build shallow drawers that slid in and out of those spaces. Each drawer was about 4 inches tall, 12 inches wide, and 8 inches deep, perfect for storing flat items like table linens, placemats, and small tools, light bulbs, batteries, or children's school supplies. A typical staircase had 12 to 15 steps, which meant 12 to 15 hidden drawers. That's cubic feet of storage space that added 0 footprint to the home. The stairs were load-bearing and functional. You walked on them normally, but they also served as a vertical dresser. The drawers were ingeniously designed to not interfere with the structural integrity of the stairs. The hollow riser spaces didn't weaken the steps because the weight was still carried by the treads and stringers. The drawers simply utilized otherwise empty space inside the staircase structure. Some families organized riser drawers by category. Bottom steps held heavy items like tools and hardware. Middle steps held linens and craft supplies. Top steps held lightweight items like gift wrap and ribbons. Each family member might have their own drawer for personal items. The system kept items organized and accessible without requiring any closet or cabinet space. Staircase riser drawers were common in row houses and small cottages where space was precious. They were especially popular in homes built during post-war housing shortages, when builders got creative with space utilization. The drawers required skilled carpentry. Each one had to be precisely fitted, smoothly sliding, and perfectly hidden when closed. Staircase riser drawers disappeared when home construction became standardized in the 1960s. Developers built cookie-cutter houses with conventional stairs. Custom carpentry was too expensive for mass production. By the 1970s, homes got bigger and built-in storage became less necessary. Modern homes have larger closets instead of hidden stair drawers. The riser drawer system, turning vertical staircases into storage units, vanished from American home construction. Tiny house builders are rediscovering this trick today, but they'll never match the craftsmanship of 1950s stair drawers that were invisible until you needed them. Steam radiators in 1950s, homes weren't just heating units, they were furniture. Grandma would build or buy decorative wooden covers that fit over ugly cast-iron radiators, transforming them into functional bookshelves or display surfaces. The radiator became dual-purpose, heating the room while also providing storage and display space. This wasn't hiding the radiator. This was maximizing its usefulness. The radiator covers were custom-built to fit the dimensions of each radiator, usually constructed from wood slats or lattice that allowed heat to rise through while creating a flat surface on top. The simplest covers were plain wooden boxes with ventilation holes. The fanciest were elaborate furniture pieces with decorative trim, matching the room's woodwork. But all radiator covers shared one purpose: turning wasted space into usable storage. A radiator typically sat under a window, jutting out from the wall about 12 inches. That 12-inch depth was perfect for shelving. Build a cover over the radiator, and the top surface became a shelf for books, plants, picture frames, or decorative objects. Some covers included built-in shelving inside the cabinet portion, small shelves behind cabinet doors where you could store shoes, board games, or magazines. The radiator continued heating the room through the ventilated cover, but now it also served as a bookcase or display unit. The system worked particularly well in small apartments where every piece of furniture had to justify its footprint. A radiator took up floor space whether you liked it or not. It was plumbed into the building's heating system and couldn't be moved. So instead of treating it as an eyesore to hide, 1950s homeowners turned it into functional furniture. Bedroom radiators got covers that served as nightstands. Living room radiators got covers that displayed books and plants. Children's room radiators got covers with toy storage inside. Some radiator covers included padded cushions on top, creating window seats with built-in storage underneath. You'd sit on the radiator cover to look out the window, enjoying the heat in winter, with books or blankets stored in the cabinet below. Radiator covers disappeared when central heating systems replaced steam radiators in the 1970s. Modern forced air heating uses vents instead of radiators. Look down at the base of kitchen cabinets in a well-designed 1950s home, and you'd see something unusual: small drawer handles at floor level. These were toe-kick drawers, ultra-slim storage drawers built into the recessed space at the bottom of base cabinets, the 4-inch high gap where your toes go when you stand at the counter. This dead space, normally empty, was transformed into functional storage. The toe kick is necessary in kitchen design. That recessed space allows you to stand close to the counter without hitting your toes on the cabinet face. Typically, it's just empty air, serving no purpose except comfort. But clever 1950s builders realized this space could hold drawers. Very flat drawers, only 3 or 4 inches tall, but drawers nonetheless. And each toe kick drawer ran the full width of a cabinet section, often 3 or 4 feet wide, and extended back about 20 inches. Despite being shallow, these drawers offered surprising storage capacity for flat items. Cookie sheets, pizza pans, cutting boards, serving platters, placemats, cloth napkins, and baking parchment all fit perfectly in toe-kick drawers. Items that normally cluttered cabinets or took up valuable drawer space could be stored at floor level, completely out of the way, yet easily accessible. The drawers were built on heavy-duty slides rated for floor-level use. You'd kneel or crouch down, pull the handle, and the drawer would glide smoothly out. The drawer fronts matched the cabinet finish, creating a seamless look when closed. Many people didn't even realize toe-kick drawers existed until they accidentally bumped a handle with their foot. Installing toe-kick drawers required custom cabinetry and precise carpentry. The drawers had to be sealed to keep out dust and moisture from floor cleaning. The slides had to be robust enough to handle being near floor level, but the result was dozens of cubic feet of storage space created from literally nothing, space that otherwise sat empty. Toe-kick drawers disappeared when cabinet manufacturing became standardized in the 1970s. Prefabricated cabinets came with standard toe kicks that were empty spaces, not storage. Custom cabinetry became expensive. By the 1980s, kitchen designers focused on maximizing upper cabinets and wall storage instead of floor-level solutions. Modern kitchens rarely include toe-kick drawers, or the few custom kitchens that do include them charge premium prices. The simple 1950s innovation, turning every cabinet's toe kick into storage, vanished from standard kitchen design. Built into the walls beneath windows in 1950s, homes were storage benches, wooden seats with hinged lids that lifted to reveal deep storage compartments underneath. These weren't furniture you could move. These were architectural features, built during construction, designed to maximize every square foot of living space while creating cozy seating areas. The window seat storage bench was practical genius. Windows typically sit in alcoves or bump-outs, creating natural nooks in rooms. Instead of leaving these nooks empty or filling them with chairs, 1950s builders constructed built-in benches that spanned the width of the window. The bench would be about 18 inches deep and 16 inches high, perfect sitting height, with a padded cushion on top. Lift the cushion and the wooden lid beneath it, and you'd find a storage compartment 2 to 3 feet deep, running the entire length of the window. That's cubic feet of storage space hidden under a comfortable seat. Families used window seat storage for everything. Living room window seats held extra blankets and pillows for guests. Bedroom window seats held off-season clothes, extra bedding, or toys. Kitchen nook window seats held holiday serving dishes and seasonal decorations. The storage was accessible but out of sight, perfect for items used occasionally but not daily. The window seat also served as additional seating. Walk into a 1950s bedroom and half the closets didn't have doors. They had curtains. Floor-to-ceiling fabric panels hung on tension rods or curtain rods mounted across the closet opening. This wasn't poverty or temporary solution. This was deliberate design in small homes where every inch of space mattered. Closet doors, whether hinged or sliding, consumed space and caused problems in tight quarters. The curtain solution was brilliant for multiple reasons. First, it saved floor space. A hinged closet door needs clearance to swing open, about 3 feet of floor space that must remain empty. In a 10 by 12 bedroom, that's a significant chunk of unusable floor. A curtain hanging flat against the wall uses 0 floor space. You simply push it aside to access the closet. Second, curtains were cheaper than doors. A proper wooden closet door with hardware cost money in post-war America when housing was scarce and families were frugal. A curtain rod and fabric cost a fraction of that amount. Walk into any 1950s garage, workshop, or child's bedroom, and you'd see wooden crates mounted on walls as shelving units. Not decorative vintage crates purchased for that purpose. Actual functional crates that once held Coca-Cola bottles, produce, or dairy products, rescued from trash and repurposed as free storage. This was recycling before it was environmental consciousness. This was frugality turned into functional design. The wooden crates were everywhere in the 1950s. Grocery stores, corner markets, and delivery services used them constantly. Sturdy boxes made from thin wooden slats, reinforced at corners, designed to be stacked and reused. When the crates wore out or weren't needed anymore, stores would throw them away or give them away. Families would grab them and bring them home. A single crate, turned on its side and mounted to a wall, instantly became an open shelf with built-in dividers. The slat construction created natural compartments. Mount 3 crates in a row, and you'd have cubby storage for tools, toys, books, or craft supplies. Stack 6 crates in a 2x3 grid, and built a bookshelf that cost nothing except the screws to mount it. Open any 1950s garage, workshop, or pantry, and you'd find rows of coffee cans, metal cans with plastic lids, cleaned and repurposed as storage containers. These weren't decorative. These were functional organization systems that cost nothing and worked better than anything you could buy. Every family drank coffee, and every empty can became a storage container. The metal coffee cans of the 1950s were built to last. Heavy-gauge steel with rolled rims, vacuum-sealed lids, and colorful paper labels. Folgers, Maxwell House, Hills Brothers, all came in similar 1-pound cans, roughly 5 inches tall and 4 inches in diameter. When the coffee was gone, you'd peel off the paper label, wash the can thoroughly, and reuse it forever. The cans were perfect for organizing small items. Garages had coffee cans full of nails, sorted by size. 1 can for finish nails, 1 for roofing nails, 1 for brad nails. Another can held screws, another held washers and bolts, another held picture hooks and wire. Everything visible through the open top, everything accessible. Every woman in the 1950s owned hats. Church hats, sun hats, winter hats, cocktail hats, a different hat for every occasion. And every hat came in its own box. These weren't flimsy cardboard. These were sturdy, round hat boxes, often covered in decorative paper or fabric, designed to protect expensive hats from crushing. When women stopped wearing the hats, the boxes didn't get thrown away. They became storage. Hat boxes were perfect storage containers. They were rigid, stackable, dust-proof, and came in graduated sizes. Large boxes for winter hats with brims, medium boxes for everyday hats, small boxes for cocktail hats and fascinators. Stack them in the closet, and you'd created vertical storage that protected delicate items while maximizing closet height. Women quickly realized hat boxes could store more than hats. 25 storage hacks, all forgotten, all brilliant. Our grandparents lived in homes half the size of ours. 800 square feet was normal, yet they stored everything without overflow or chaos. How? They multiplied space instead of buying more of it. They looked at stairs and built drawers inside. This wasn't poverty. This was intentional design. Space was finite, so creativity was infinite. Then homes got bigger. We went from 983 square feet in 1950 to 2,300 square feet today. We stopped thinking creatively because we didn't need to. The hacks disappeared. Not because they stopped working, but because we stopped using them. Now, housing costs are crushing families. People are moving back to smaller spaces, and they're rediscovering what Grandma always knew. You don't need more space. You need smarter storage. These 25 tricks still work. The space is there. We just forgot how to see it.